They can try to replicate you, but they cannot duplicate you. You are the blueprint. They are all wannabes. Hi guys, welcome back to Clare's Kingdom, where we talk facts, walk fierce, and remind the world that well-behaved women rarely make history. Okay guys, we are back with another Olivia Pope analysis. If you haven't already, I recommend you guys watch Scandal. Apart from all the drama that happens on that show, I love to study figures like Olivia Pope because she is the epitome of power, class, intellect, and beauty all wrapped up in one. Okay, Olivia Pope is, like I always say, an icon, one of my specific favorite icons, and there is so much we can learn from her. But in this video today, we are going to be unpacking the topic of destiny swapping. So if you've watched Scandal, if you haven't already, like I said, go watch it. But in Scandal, we find that Olivia, of course, is in very high demand. Essentially, she works for herself. She has her own law firm, her own team. But prior to this, she worked in the White House. So she was, I believe, chief of staff or some sort of, director in the White House. And of course, at some point, we know that she left. If you watch the show, she left the White House to go work for herself. And at some point, she just left the country, which meant her original team or people part of her business that basically scattered to different sectors. And one of the people on her team, called Abby, ended up working in the White House, basically doing the same job that Olivia Pope did. And when you watch the series, you see that Abby tries to mimic Olivia Pope's leadership style or tries to be a better version of what Olivia Pope was when she was in the White House. Now, before we get into that part, when Abby was still working with Olivia, obviously we know the dynamics of, how race and perception and all these things in society kind of really shape how people are perceived. So there was a case where Olivia Pope was summoned to these two affluent couples' house to help them solve an issue. And they were a white couple. And the reason why I mention race in this scenario is because when Olivia's team came over, Abby, which is the ginger, she walked in the room first before Olivia Pope. So remember, Olivia Pope is like this high status fixer. She's known throughout the country to be, a top fixer, very respected, very held regard. So they've probably never seen her, but obviously everyone knows her name. So Abby walks in and the couple's like, "You must be Olivia Pope." And Abby didn't negate it. She didn't say no. She didn't correct them. She stood there. But then Olivia Pope came in and she put her hand out and said, "I'm Olivia Pope," basically. And it wasn't really addressed, but of course in that moment they made that, I don't know if you want to call that microaggression or just call it a misunderstanding or just them assuming, I don't know. They just assumed that Abby, the ginger woman, would be Olivia Pope for some reason, which I think we could take a guess why. But in that moment, Abby, she kind of smirked to herself that she would have been mistaken to be Olivia Pope. So already she was showing signs of I want her place. But at this point, she was still Olivia Pope's protege, so she wasn't really seen as some sort of leader or, authority kind of figure. And we can also see this because when Abby went to go work for the White House, she basically became this quote-unquote big dog, and she called herself that, now she's one of the big dogs. And there was a point where her and Olivia were arguing and she was like, "I'm not your, I'm not just one of your little," I don't even know how she described it, "I don't work for you anymore, I'm a big dog now," but basically on the same level. That was basically her point. And obviously Olivia Pope shut that down real quick, honey, never. And that's the problem when we talk about destiny swapping. People think they think they're entitled to the same status, respect, things, results, just because they want them without actually going through the hardship. Because Olivia Pope worked and she went through a lot from her childhood to her teenhood to adulthood. Even within the White House, she had managed a lot. She had to make hard decisions and be the bad person in a lot of people's eyes. And Abby just wanted to just walk in and be on the same level as her, which was obviously delusional. But going back to the whole point of this video, you are the blueprint, and you're going to find that even people around you, your friends, your family, whoever, will try to take your place. They want what you have without going through what you have been through, basically. Because Olivia Pope, you don't become that kind of woman. Powerful, smart, intellectual, charismatic, beautiful. You don't become that type of woman by having the average woman experience, going along with groupthink or going along with what's socially accepted, especially being a black woman, a woman of colour. We already know that there's a lot of constraints in society or stereotypes or boxes they like to project onto black women, or even women of colour. So for Olivia Pope to get where she was with all those odds stacked against her is not a small thing. And that is one reason why I look up to her and admire her. I admire her so much and see myself a lot in her, especially with all the things I've had to overcome. So yeah, no one can outdo you. They can't replace you. They can try convince themselves that they're on your league, your level. They can't do you. That's another thing. When we watch Scandal, we see that Abby was annoyed because even though she technically had the title in the White House that used to be Olivia's influence was still much more prominent, and Olivia's influence was still being used or applied in the White House, even if she wasn't physically working there. there was points where Olivia was literally sneaking in and out of the White House without Abby knowing, for whatever reasons, which meant that even though Abby had the technical title of being basically the president's right hand, or one of the president's right hand, Olivia Pope still had the ultimate power. This is another lesson to say that just because someone has a title, or someone technically has more than you, doesn't necessarily mean that they're the most powerful, influential person in the room. Which is why I say no one can do you better than you. No one can outmatch your aura. They can try. No one can outmatch your specific life experiences or trauma, things that you've had to alchemize. No one can replicate that. And one sad or ironic paradox of life is that people that have gone through the most pain, trauma, heartbreak are usually the people that turn out to be one of the most beautiful, smart, intellectual, charismatic, or people that you just want to be around, because a lot of the time these experiences shape us. They shed skin, they shed fake personalities, they shed masks, they shed the fear of rejection. When you've been rejected for most of your life, when you've been the outcast, when you've been the one that doesn't fit in, it does something to you. It does something to your capacity to take risks, capacity to do things even if you're fearful. I've noticed even in myself that I can just talk to anyone like I've known them my whole life. And not to say like I'm like having full-on conversations, but that filter that most people have where they're like, oh, I'm scared to do this, or they're scared to be seen, that part of me, I've honestly seen that part of me just shed away, and I'm sure you guys can relate. Even pertaining to asking for things, like old me back in the day, I probably would be one of those people that would be quiet even if I wanted something, or maybe I wanted something clarified, I wasn't sure, or I didn't want to be a pain or a bother. But now I'm okay taking up space, and it honestly takes a certain type of life experience and a certain type of pain to really get you to that point, which is why alchemy is so important. Turning your pain into power is so important, because obviously people can have the same experiences and decide to take the other road, which is, you know, self-destruction, maybe even unaliving. There's so many routes you can take, but if you choose alchemy, you will have to be great. It's just inevitable. No one can replicate you. No one can replicate your pain or duplicate your pain. No one can duplicate you. And honestly, even Kerry Washington, the actor herself that plays Olivia Pope, she is also like just an incredible woman. And seeing Kerry receive her Hollywood star a few months back, I think it was a while back, after seeing her receive that Hollywood star, after embodying such an amazing character, which will go down in history, because Olivia Pope is the type of woman that is not forgotten. Kerry Washington herself is the type of woman that will go down in history and be relatable to every generation. That is one reason why I love Olivia Pope, because she's just a timeless character. She's relevant in every lifetime, because technically that show was based on like the early 2000s, but she is still very much relevant today, from her fashion style, from her mindset, from her leadership style. There's so much you can learn from Olivia Pope. And make sure you guys go watch my other videos on Olivia Pope, where I do a lot of different analysis. And what's funny is, like I said, when Abby became the chief of staff, she thought she was the boss, and she tried to talk down Olivia Pope, and Olivia Pope literally laughed, like chuckled, because there's a difference between having power or being power versus being ornamental versus being ornamental, which was mostly what Abby was. Like, she was borderline a secretary, for being very honest, because the only thing this woman could do was shout. She could shout. And when she tried to be smart, when she tried to be quote unquote the smart person, she got one of their friends almost unalived, which was not good. So that just shows as well, when people try to be you or do you, things go wrong, because no one can do you better than you. And this is why we shouldn't limit ourselves or let ourselves be dictated by titles, because someone can have a title, doesn't make them superior to you. Now, this doesn't mean go ahead and disrespect authority. Like, obviously act with, you know, class, social intelligence, but don't ever believe that you're not one of the smartest or even the smartest person in the room. Also be careful with that. Also have a open mindset. Yes, you can be very smart, powerful, intelligent, but you can also still learn so much. Both those things can be true. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown and analysis. Watch out for destiny swapping. I mean, as long as you keep your cards close to your chest, stay private, guard yourself, guard your essence, no one can destiny swap with you. And obviously pray to God, protection, prayers, all that stuff. And yeah, let me know you guys' thoughts about this episode below. And are you a Scandal fan? Do you like Olivia Pope? Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.